Very excited to be doing another interview episode. This is my second one, and I'm so grateful for Bridget. So, she's a world traveler, just traveling to a different country for like every week, fitness enthusiast, lifestyle digital creator, and she's here to share her passion for healthy living and tips with us. So, Bridget Goodwin, passing it off to you. It feels so weird saying your last name because I feel like
I
I
know,
just
it's
say
so
Bridget.
cool. Thank you so much for asking me to be on this. This is so exciting. I love listening to your podcast. So being on it is such a treat. It's funny you say that, a traveler. I just got back actually from Morocco for my fiance's birthday. Such a good time. But to share like more about me, I'm 27. I live in London. Kind of what you were saying, just like any type of traveling I can do, I just will try and book it as soon as possible. So I'm actually going to Australia next week. I'm super excited. I'm going with my family.
You're truly a world traveler.
I know. I'm like, you're like, let's introduce Bridget, the traveler. I'm like, wow, this is like perfect timing considering I just got back and I'm just leaving again. But yes, I'm super excited for that.
Tell us where you came, like kind of where you grew up
Yeah.
also.
Yes. So I'm originally from Pennsylvania, and I went to school in Philadelphia. I have basically lived there my entire life, which is so funny that I live in London now because, most people would be like, okay, let's venture out to somewhere outside of where I grew up, maybe like, 2 hours away or a quick flight away. But no, I'm just like, let's go to a new country entirely. So yeah, it's been amazing to kind of watch myself grow in this way. But I was always in the Pennsylvania, Philadelphia area. I played sports there. I played sports at college, club level, not D1. So I've always been very into, the moving around, traveling around.
What sports did you play?
It's funny. I like never talk about the actual sport I played. I'm always just like, yeah, I work out, I run. But it's funny. I played soccer my whole life. And then when I was in college, I was like, I want to still stay active because I feel like I'm going to gain like the freshman 15. I need to like be on top of it. So I played basketball for St. Joe's, like the club version, which was so much. Yeah, it was fun because it's not to say I could ever make D1. I don't think I was there yet, but the atmosphere and the community there, it's so much more fun because you don't have to worry.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like you're there to like have fun, where I feel like D1 is like people are there for like a purpose,
Yes.
and it's sometimes
Not
to
mess
like
up.
move. Yeah, it's like the intensity is different.
Yeah. So it was definitely fun. And I got to make, a lot of cool new friends that way instead of just on like my floor. So it was really cool. But yeah, and then I played actually co-ed with Ethan, my fiance, which was so much fun. I couldn't express more how much I love like the rec leagues at this level and like this age, because it's more of like a bonding community thing while also just playing sports with all different type of people, and especially your fiance. I think that's so fun playing with him. It's like more than just a sport. You're just like on the court with
Friends.
Yeah, exactly. It's just funny watching it.
Yeah, I played kickball in New York, not in college, but after, like in my 20s with one of my best friends, and met so many cool people from it. And it was just like, so it's like you're kind of like a kid again, but you're an adult.
Yes.
And yeah, such fun times. And especially when, yeah, you're not like, this is like, if you win, you win. If you lose, you lose. Like it is what it is.
Yeah.
Is that how you guys met?
No, Ethan and I?
Yeah.
No, that would be a fun way of meeting, actually. We met in college, not through sports, but yeah, we met freshman year. It was so much fun. It was cute. He actually was the first guy that asked me out like the first week of school, and I had a boyfriend at the time, and I was like, no, sorry. And then we were like, okay, let's be friends. So we were friends all throughout college. And then once we graduated, we were like, okay, let's hang out more. And this will,
He was patient.
He wrote it out long. Yeah, he was there for the long run. I give him props.
Yeah, I give him props too. I feel like he also really valued your friendship, which is good. I feel like having a good, strong foundation of friendship makes your relationship just even stronger. So the fact that you guys have that is amazing because you guys are such a, I feel like you guys are couple. I look at you and I'm like, when I grow up, I want to be like Bridget and Ethan.
Stop. I love that. I mean, you know what's funny? Everything that I do in my life now, it's like, and this is so cliche, but it literally is because of him. Like, I think because he knew me so well prior, we like knew how to work together to create this fun, travel-y, fitness lifestyle. So I love that. You see that in us from the
I
beginning.
love it. I see it. Yes, and that's our perfect segue into talking about more about your life and your current. I feel like right now you're really dedicated to sharing that healthy lifestyle with everyone on social, which I love
Mhm.
seeing it. I've tried your one of your ab workouts that you posted to your IG story. I did it for like 2 days and
I love
it made me left me so sore, but it felt so good.
this is the goal.
So,
This is the goal.
yeah, and it was so easy because I just, like, honestly took a little screenshot of it so I could remember the reps, and then
Yes.
it's just yeah, and now it's one of my go-to, like, little ab workouts.
Best music to my ear.
So, just thank you so much for sharing your knowledge,
Oh,
and tell us a little bit about when you decided to pursue being a fitness and lifestyle digital creator.
yeah. It's funny because if someone wants to say like when and how, I don't have like a timestamp or kind of a reason. I think for me, and what I said a little bit earlier when we were chatting just about myself, is I've always had this fitness and love for sharing that fitness with me. And I think it was always kind of a, do I want to share it more with people or do I want to keep it just kind of close circle, share about it with a couple friends and that's it. But I think when COVID hit, and I think for a lot of people, this is where things either took off or didn't. And when it happened, I was kind of thinking, this would be kind of fun to share more about what I'm doing with working out while gyms are closed or, different traveling that I'm doing or ideas that I want to do once the COVID mandate, whatever, has been lifted. So I kind of started there and I started posting, small things that never really had crazy impactful influence. It was more kind of like, here's a really quick, cool idea to do if you don't have a gym or like an at home workout. And Ethan, my fiance, was very big on helping me with that because he was more into the like really heavy lifting and fitness. And I was like trying to kind of bring that into my lifestyle more and then sharing it. But kind of to get back, I think, like I said, it's either like a sink or swim situation. I was like, do I do it? Or should I just kind of whatever? I'll just continue what I'm doing. So I kind of looked at pursuing this creator side during that phase of my life. And so I created the second account, had nothing to do with my, my main one. It was just like private. I had no one following it. I wasn't following anybody. And I just started posting pictures. And I was like, this is so much fun. Like, I love this. I've already always loved that. I was a very big poster in college. And a lot of people would probably describe me as, that person, who do you always see on social media? Probably Bridget. So it was fun to kind of carry that over to a more personal account and start creating things and just testing things. There were so many different templates, and I'm sure everybody, and you probably know too, like all of a sudden TikTok and Instagram Reels started happening around that time. And I was like, oh, I should try to get more into that or like test it. And I didn't want to test it on my
Yeah.
one because I was like, I don't want to, start posting random rogue things on there that don't really make sense. So yeah,
Just the different aspects of your life that you're like kind of exploring and you
exactly.
wanted like that safe space to do it.
Exactly. And I think, and this is kind of a big thing that I've gone back to, but it wasn't like I was afraid to fail per se. I think it was hard for me to recognize that, people are going to start watching me try. I'm going to start trying things. And that, I think for a lot of people is where they kind of are like, oh, this feels weird. I don't want to do it. Because I'm so used to like everything
Yeah.
being perfected in that sense on social media. And that's kind of where I went to the side and was like, okay, I'm going to try some things, but I don't really want people seeing it. So
Yeah. No, it's so interesting to think about because, yeah, you like develop this persona, and sometimes, it still is a transparent persona. Like you share your life with people that are following you, and that is like your comfort zone. But then when you're growing, you're trying new things, you're like, I don't know
You
how this is
know,
going to be received. And we just are in this state, like age in life, yeah, where like everything is digital. And I think we see other influencers and people just be like so like prone to like say negative things on social and not spread positivity. So I see the hesitancy of just wanting to have this space where you can at least like experiment and be like
Mhm.
free before you maybe like launch something, you know, and fully commit to it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've struggled with that here and there with my podcast of like starting to then promote like the
Hmm.
podcast on my social, but then I'm like, am I being preachy to people? I'm not trying to, I'm just sharing these
Right.
interests that I have,
Yeah.
but finding that balance and like comfortability.
It's a very weird line that you're kind of trying to like not cross, but be there. And like, it's a strange feeling. But if I can say anything, and I know you kind of only just asked like what made me decide to do it, but I think another deciding factor too is like I had so many raw moments that I was like, I want to just share these. This is fun. This is exciting. It's COVID. Like, let's share some like weird things that we would normally not be talking about because we're going through a pandemic. So, like, again, that was another spot for me to share these like very raw, fun, or not so fun moments where I was like, this is enjoyable because I can go back to it now. Look, 2024, and I still can look at it and be like, wow, I've either grown so much in, X department, but I've also like, wow, like how different I respond now to different things, or how I, whatever it might be. So it was a very
Yeah.
cool, like you said, experimental moment for me to get into.
Yeah. Isn't it so fun looking back at things?
I love
I
it.
like
I
looking
love
back at
it.
things. You're
Same.
like, oh, I've just grown so much. I talk about that with the podcast too. Like, you know, it's almost been a year and I'm like looking back at just like thinking about years from now and looking back, like the things that you're talking about and just, you know, your
Yeah.
mindset. You can really see that when you like kind of really do take
Yeah.
time to capture the moment and
Yeah.
yeah.
And not to even to go off too much on it, but it just sparked an idea, a thought is like, it's so interesting too how people are so quick. And it's not that it's bad, but I do the same thing. I don't want people to always be on their phone and like immersed in it, and you're just not having true, genuine conversations. But it's funny because I actually feel more present in my everyday life while having this account because it allows me to capture these moments, think and internalize like, wow, this was really, really nice. I get to like share about it. It's kind of like this digital diary of where I reflect. And I don't think I would have done that normally if I didn't have a space like this to share it. So it's a weird, like, I'm sure people maybe are like, she's probably on her phone all the time, taking all this footage and this and that. But it weirdly makes me stop and think more. You know what I mean? It's like a beautiful thing where I'm like, I don't hate digital because it's really helped me. But then I have my moments where I'm like, it's very consuming. But when you find that happy medium, I think it changes a lot about the way that you look at your life and growth and reflection.
Yeah. No, definitely. And from jumping off of that, I know that you've been doing this, I feel like for the first, I feel like you've been doing it for a few years now. So do
Mhm.
you have any like your top 3 to 5 lessons you've learned in your first few years of pursuing this passion? Because it is a passion for you. It's not something that you're just doing for likes and
No,
from our conversations and what I can tell from your content.
yeah,
It's just like you're sharing your love for
yeah,
fitness and healthy living with anyone that's following, and which
yeah.
I think is a beautiful thing.
No, thank you. Yeah, and that's kind of like the beauty of it is that I never went into this obviously intentionally looking for like crazy likes, viral, going viral, whatever it is. It was more of a lesson of like, how much can I see myself transform from starting in this COVID environment of fitness to now? I mean, it's funny. I'm changing the way that I even think every day. Like, if I could say I've learned anything, it was that I've opened this like door of new like possibilities and conversations and just overall like relationships. Like, I have conversations with people on this page that I would never, most likely, probably never talk to outside of, a like or a heart. on something, let alone like having full blown, like hour-long conversations with people. And it's funny because it's like, going back to what we were saying, like I posted this stuff for fun and just ideas, and it sparked people's interests, and it created like this effect of, oh my gosh, wait, tell me more. This is so exciting. This is like really cool. My boyfriend and I want to do this next month or whatever it is. So if there's any like lesson, I guess you could say, that I've learned in just pursuing it and not really thinking much more into it, it's that, you know, you can create these new relationships with people you never would have thought of that then spiral into a whole new opportunity. Like even just, you know, I had an example. I have an example of like someone reached out to me about how I can travel, how I do what I can do while having like a 9 to 5, and, you know, seeing everything that I've done. And I was able to, this is more like benefiting them too, but I was able to get them in contact with someone from my work where it made sense to connect the two of them and give an opportunity of like, hey, like, you know, X is very interested about this skill set and this role, but she also wants to have, you know, X, Y, and Z. So it was like this conversation of basically I posted a picture of, I forget where I was, somewhere around the world, and it spiraled into this girl getting a conversation with one of my coworkers and potentially going down a different route for their career. And it's just so amazing and beautiful and everything at once, because like I said, it started off as something so small, as like a passion of just sharing what I love, that then turned into this amazing connection, relationship down the line, opportunity, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, like pursuing this has created much more than I would have ever thought. I feel like I have a voice too that's heard, which is so cliche to say too, because it's like, it's all on different scales. Like I don't have this crazy following. I don't have crazy likes, but I clearly am, you know, resonating with people and giving them something that is more relatable and understanding in their lifestyle that they can then take with them and grow from.
And that's awesome that, you know, you're connecting with new people in new ways. And if you weren't really pursuing this, you know, who knows the type of connections that you'd be making on this level. So I know that there's also, with the traveling, budget and
Yes.
budgeting. Do you have any lessons with like budgeting and how you approach that?
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, and Ethan has been a great help with this because he's very, very big on budgeting and kind of organizing a lot of what we do. But I would say like the biggest thing is you have to take a moment to prioritize what you want. And I'm not sitting here saying I know exactly what I want to do, but I know in the smaller scaled instances, I kind of want to formulate how I approach different things of what I want. So for instance, if that makes sense, for instance, like, let's say we're sitting here, you know, we live in London, we kind of picked up everything, we left home, and we're here. So that in itself is a huge discussion we had to have budget-wise, understanding, you know, are we going to spend all of our money all at once while being here? Or, you know, is this going to be more beneficial because we like to travel? We're closer to Europe. We're closer to different countries. We might be saving money on by doing that. So I think the lesson you can learn too here is like sitting down, having a moment to say, okay, what is my biggest priority? What is my goal of this year or maybe even this month? And sitting down and being like, okay, it's not, you know, trying to, I could be like a fashion, you know, influencer right now and being really into my clothes. Then I put on my prioritizing towards buying different clothes, getting more into that industry, understanding the industry, and kind of putting my time and energy and money there versus, okay, no, a big thing for myself and Ethan was kind of getting out of our comfort zone by moving here, number one, but also traveling. Like it is really a big thing for us. And I know it's a big thing for everybody, but you can't always do it. So we took a moment to realize, okay, what's the most important part about this? Yeah, it's that. It's getting ourselves to understand how much a flight is that is from out of London, and then getting the hotel, whatever it might be. So we kind of just sat down and was like, this is what we want to do. So we're not going to go out every Saturday and have a big dinner with friends or whatever it is. Like we're going to really like bring our money to this side, budget accordingly. If we don't have enough, then we step back. We figure out what's something that even within there is more of a high or a big priority. So it's not so much like, you know, I want to go to X amount of places in X amount of time. It's no, I want to see, Valencia in Spain because I've always looking at it. It's beautiful. It's warm. Let's do that. And then we take a step back and we're like, okay, we're not exploring anything else. So it's kind of like a weird in between and mix up of like prioritizing what you want to do, where you are situated in your life right now. Do you want kids? Do you want a house? Do you want this? We don't want any of that right now. So all of our money as of now is going towards that while saving. So yeah, it's just kind of like realizing that you can't have the best of both worlds and have everything at once. So you have to kind of take a second to look back and say, okay, this is what we want. This is why we moved here. Then we need to like stay with it and not go off, because then we'll, end up finding ourselves in a hole there.
Yeah. And then prioritizing what you want is a biggie, because yeah, sometimes you just want everything. Like I feel like that sometimes, like I just want to do everything. But
Exactly.
the reality is things unfortunately cost money, and you have to balance your priorities and budgeting and making sure you're approaching things from that mindset helps, I think, because then you're setting yourself up for success, and you can really enjoy the experience and not like afterwards be like, oh well, now I have no money to just
exactly. And I think to go off of that too, a big thing for us is like my sister said this one time to me, or somebody said it, I forget who it was, and they were like, traveling is everyone's dream. And I was like, not necessarily. Like I wouldn't look at what we're doing as like that is the fulfillment, like that fulfills everything in my life. Like there are moments where I'm like, ooh, but we're missing out on X. We're missing out on being home with our home friends. We made a huge jump to live this lifestyle. But there's one thing I want to say is that like, just because, we travel everywhere, it doesn't mean that's the only way to feel this fulfilled lifestyle. Like there are still things that we're like, oh, we can't do this because a lot of our efforts and time is here, which is fine. I just think it's a good point to make, because I do know a lot of people that are quick to say, like, oh, you're living like the absolute dream, which it's great. It's amazing. But there are moments where it's like, we are missing the other parts that people have every day that we don't have, just because we put our priorities here and into traveling.
Yeah, you can't always have it all. But if you do have like a passion and you're putting a lot of your energy and time towards it, I think, as you can see, you can be fulfilled, or just which is awesome. Yeah, I feel like it is people's dream to travel, and not everyone's different. Which I know that it can be challenging staying active and eating healthy. I have that problem when I travel. Like I'm like, how am I gonna work out and like pack workout stuff and regular clothes? How do you navigate maintaining your healthy lifestyle routine when you travel or like are on the go?
Yeah, this is a great question, because for me in the beginning of kind of one, getting more into fitness, and two, starting to really pick up our travel, I was like, oh my gosh, my whole routine is back at home, and I have, my specific set meals, and this is going to be so hard because I'm not going to be able to track them or whatever it is. But I think the biggest thing for me and for Ethan when we go anywhere, or if I travel for work or whatever it is that, there's this 80-20 rule that I kind of live by. And it's like, you want to be, for the most part, 80% good. Like, and by good, I mean, keeping up with your fitness, even if it's just a walk, even if it's just finding somewhere that is accessible for you to kind of move, but also eating right. I think we all kind of know, or for the most part, we kind of understand our bodies and what will make them feel horrible and what will make them feel good, and where you've seen the most progress. And I think if you live by that 80-20, where, for the majority of the time, you're being good, you're taking your time to be active, you're taking your time to really look at like menus or look at a grocery list and say, okay, even though I'm on vacation, even though I'm, not in my home, I know that this is the better route. This is going to be good in the long term. However, if you get into, Saturday, Sunday, and you want to have more of a fun, let's say boozy brunch with your friends, you're on vacation, then there's no reason why you should tell yourself you can't do it. I just think you need to live by some type of motive and rule to not lose that part, because I think it's so quick for people to get back from vacation and be like, oh my God, I just reversed everything I worked for the week before, the month before, on this week. I hate that I did that. But while they're there, they're like, oh my God, it's vacation. This is the whole point of vacation. Do whatever you want. but it's this weird like game. And I used to play that game with myself and I'd be like, this is normal. We should be having a free for all right now on the buffet. We should be just sitting and lounging and reading my book or watching a movie because my life is so hectic day to day that I need this time to relax. But for me, I've kind of wired my brain to remember that no, relaxation for me is not eating like, bad and not moving my body. Relaxation for me is continuing the routine, trying to be creative in the way that I can find equipment or, like I said, going outside, going on a walk. And then if you go to a restaurant, there's always some type of healthy option. There's nothing wrong with picking a healthier option that makes you feel good. It's still within your means, versus getting a hamburger or whatever it is that is your guilty pleasure. But I think if you just kind of remember that rule, like, okay, we can have fun. This is fine. But remember, you're still living your life. Just because you took off, for a vacation doesn't mean you took off of your body. Like, your body's still.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I've operated since doing all this traveling and constantly moving different places. It's just kind of like I'm still doing my life and my routine. I'm just doing it on the go. And there's nothing wrong with adjusting.
Yeah. And it sounds like making sure you're also taking charge of your own, like kind of what you're eating, like making sure, maybe you're going to a grocery store when you get somewhere and getting some like veggies or proteins and that you have back in the hotel room or the Airbnb. So that way, you have stuff that are like a little consistent with your regular lifestyle. And you're totally right. I feel like I've been in that mindset too before where I'm like, I'm on vacation. I can eat whatever I want. And then you're like,
crazy.
And then sometimes when you eat whatever you want too, you just feel bad because your body's like, what's happening to me?
I know, especially the older you get. Like, I think I could have went by when I was 18. I mean, I did. I ate whatever I want when I was 18, 19, 20, whatever. But I think now it's like, all right, if this is what you want to do, just remember your metabolism is definitely different. So it's kind of like each to their own. Like, if this is fine for you, sure. But for me, like I truly did rewire the way I think, because in the end, it's so much more, I feel so much better. And that short-term, gratification of being like, oh, I'm going to just like throw it all away for this week vacation is just not enough for me anymore. Like, I don't feel that type of satisfaction anymore. It's like kind of gone. So if you shift your way, I think it changes everything.
I can see that. I feel like I'm working towards that. I've been working towards eating healthier. My boyfriend's really good at like eating healthy and maintaining that consistency. So
I love that.
Good habit.
Also, not to mention, like, maybe I'm like weird for this, but I find it fun and interesting to just be creative when you're away. Like when we were in Morocco, obviously food's extremely different than anywhere I've ever been. If anyone's ever been to Morocco, I mean, it's like you kind of could tell it's just different. And I think for us, it was fun to be like, oh my gosh, this dish has everything we would eat at home. And if you pair it with this, it has the proteins and whatever it is. So it's kind of interesting to be creative in the way that you eat. And also, you don't have to, because there's a whole bunch of food in front of you, eat it all. Like, I think that's my thing too with vacations and where you're staying is like there's a lot of options everywhere. Like, it doesn't mean it's not leaving. You could still get it. Just don't do it all at once. Because for me, that was my weakness is I would just see it like a buffet style or a food truck or market. And I'd be like, oh my God, we have to get everything. But you don't have to eat it all at once.
That's my boyfriend. That's where we're opposite, where I'm like, pace yourself.
Yes.
Just because it's there. It's not like running away anywhere. Like,
right. Exactly. It's so funny. I'm like, we can save it. We can box it up. It doesn't have to be eaten right now and then.
Yeah.
You're excited. If you're in a different country or traveling or even just out of the state, out of your hometown, wherever it is, out of your house, you're just so much quicker to be like, yes, let's indulge. But really, you're still just living your normal lifestyle of eating.
It's like the ebbs and flows. You have to find that balance.
80-20. 80% good.
80-20.
But the 20% be whatever.
Okay, I'm going to try that. I'm going to start trying that.
Yeah.
That'll be good. That'll probably be easier for me to follow. Because usually I'm like, when's the last time I had something that I indulged in? And then I'm like, sometimes you forget. So 80-20 every day would be easy.
Yes.
How do you maintain authenticity as a digital creator? because I feel like you've been talking a lot about how you've evolved, even from starting this account and
Mhm.
moving from Pennsylvania to London. So, how are you finding that you can stay true to yourself as you continue to push yourself as a creator?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question too, because I feel like maybe I feel like you would know this too out of a lot of people, but a lot of this world is literally about people not being true to themselves. And it's this horrible, controversial topic of like, oh, you follow blah blah blah. Well, I feel like they're just like fake all the time, whether it's like super super influencers or even this anybody, and that's like kind of sad because you don't really know per se. But I think for me, it's just maintaining, like just being true. Like, there's no reason that if I'm gonna share all these cool moments and memories in my story, that there's no room for like really not lying per se, but exaggerating. Because like for me, like I said, the whole reason I started this kind of account and this influencing lifestyle esque is because I wanted just to share fun things and different ideas that I might have had or conversations I wanted to start, like I said. So there was no room for like, let me be really, I'm going to exaggerate a lot about this product or vacation because I want people to like more of the videos and I want to feel like I can stand out more and go viral. But because my intention was never that, I can't really find myself being any less true to myself. If that makes sense. So I think kind of keeping that authenticity for me has just been saying it how it is. Like, I have no problem sharing something and then being like, here's the reality of it too. Like, I actually remember posting about some of like pieces of my like apartment that I'm living in London, and I was like, oh my god, I love this. Like, I got this at this thrift store. This was fun, and this that, like kind of really like exciting news about me moving in. And then I remember I made a post and I was like, LOL. And then the reality of everything that came into it, and it was just like me listing all this like horrible things that happened. And I'm not to say like you need to show the bad parts to remain, authentic. It's just kind of not taking that extra step to be like, no, I'm going to exaggerate and share this completely different story about whatever it might be, traveling or my food or, you know, anything. Cause it's like, what's the point? I'm not going to have any authentic conversations then because I'm lying about something. I'm not going to feel probably good because deep down I know that, it went this way. So for me, it was like, it's easy to kind of remain truthful in my intention of posting and sharing and whatnot, because it's very much my everyday life. So I don't know if that kind of answers more about how to like, as I evolve, because it's like, I'm also growing with the people who follow me. They're seeing,
Yeah.
I can't change myself now. I've already shown everything there is to know about my life. So it's like, yeah, it's easier. It's fun for me to kind of show the goods and the good and the bad.
I think that answers the question. Like, you're really talking about how you are just staying true to yourself and not being overly calculated with how you share
Exactly.
because you want, it's much easier, it sounds like, for you to just post things as is and what's true
Mhm.
to your life than trying to, yeah, add a layer of a story that you think might, be more likable and get more
Right.
likes. And there's always that to social too. But I think it's really great that you're staying grounded in like who you are and leaning on that
Right.
versus, for the like fame of something.
Yeah. And like I think we said before earlier is like we want to watch how we've evolved. So like if I'm not true, then how am I going to know how much I've grown, I've evolved, and I can look back and actually see that. So it's like, yeah, staying as true as possible is the only way I can actually see the growth that I've seen.
I love that. And I feel like we're moving in a trend towards people like being more
Mhm.
authentic on social. I know, especially with like TikTok, and there's just lots of trends right now with people like not having things be overly like the aesthetic isn't always
Yes.
perfect.
Yeah.
It's just it is what it is, which I love that social media and the digital world is moving towards that way because I feel like there was a time in many years when things were just overly constructed and it was like intimidating even to just use social media like personally because I was like
Yeah.
things just need to be too perfect. What's the perfect caption? What's the
Yes.
hashtags with it? And yeah, kind of following what works for you and sometimes it's a caption, maybe it's not a caption, and
Mhm.
standing behind your content, I think is a good advice that you're giving. everyone that's listening because I feel like they're reminders that we all need.
Yes, seriously.
I know you're really into fitness, but also clean eating and traveling, and you're sharing all of that on social on a daily basis. So you've spoken a bit about why it's important for you to share that love and about how like it's fostering new conversations and helping you feel more like get involved in like new communities that maybe you wouldn't have been otherwise. But is there anything else that you want to talk about and why you're like it's important for you to share your love for healthy lifestyle on social?
I mean, yeah, there's so many, it's funny. There's so many things that kind of evolve as I continue doing this that I didn't think would come out of it. So, like I said at the beginning, it was to hold myself accountable. That was super important to me. I loved being able to reference different things that I did, go back on them, view them, kind of change it, whatever it might be. And then I kind of say a little bit about creating a community, creating different conversations with new people or old friends that I haven't talked to. And I think another important aspect of it, why I share it, and this one's kind of silly too, is like I have a lot of great friends and family that support me and are by my side. And it's funny, my mom and I talk like every day, but there's moments where she'll be like, I love just watching. I can just go to your page and I can just see it all. And it's so fun because I can share it with the rest of our family and our friends. And we can talk more about, your trip because you shared everything about your trip. It's so fun and cool. So it's kind of like, I guess it's a mixture of more conversations starting, but also it's so important for me to share it because I have this cool digital diary of like me. And this sounds kind of weird because it's like, I'm not gone, but if there's ever, a moment where I like to reference even just like my life and what I am all about, it's like I can just like utilize this. I like this, like I said, I like to say digital diary just because when I say like page or profile, it just feels almost weird to me because I don't look at it like that anymore. I look at it as like a place to store thoughts and ideas and fun things. And I think it's like, if someone was to say to me, what makes you excited about this? Why did you want to do this? I can quite literally go back in, scroll through, look back at a time where I was like really into wanting to, I don't know what it is, do something of that motive or whatever it is. And I could actually like go back and be like, it's funny. I wanted to do this because I never got to study abroad when I was in college. And I got to like finally have a moment to sit down and want to travel and do that. And I actually spoke about this couple years ago in a group with my friends and I shared it on my page too, and it got to me thinking this and then I started thinking more about it. So it's kind of like this weird evolving conversation with myself within my page. So I think like I guess it's a combination of everything. Is I feel like it's so important to share this because I can reference it not only for myself, my internal goals, but for others that are also looking for different answers and recommendations and lifestyle tips and goals and whatever it is. So I can even just bring people to this page that aren't already there. Because I think I preach so much about this is this place for really close-knit groups and people who want to see me and share things with me and I can share things with them. But I haven't really talked about how much I also just share this page out to people who don't follow it. Like it's almost a conversation starter at this point with some people I meet about like, oh my gosh, you went here, you travel here. And I'm like, yeah, like honestly, if you're interested in more, like you should follow this because I have so many different and more into what you're asking me that I've laid out before. And I've said this on, in a post or a video, whatever it might be. And I think it's so cool to have that as like a resource for myself, but others as well. And then that's where all these conversations blossom because yes, they're both from relationships that I've had growing up, but also people I meet on a plane. Like I even talk about Healthy Bee to people I just meet in that moment. And it's amazing because it's like they'll follow and then we'll go back and forth on how their trip was because I saw them also going to like on a vacation and we kind of go from there. So it's like a conversation starter as well as a reflection aspect of me for myself. That was a lot.
I love that.
Like
I
it's like,
love that you're sharing this with people that you just meet on like a
yeah,
plane.
yeah. It's
How
the
does it come
most
up in conversation?
I can give you like an actual story. I was in Lake Tahoe in California, where you are, and basically I met this couple with Ethan, and they were just like, we were just like talking about random stuff. Like I was like, oh, where are you guys from? Like, are you guys here on like your honeymoon, whatever it is. And then we just started talking more and more about traveling and like what we were doing. And I was like, I'm not even joking. I posted about where I'm going for the next, because I traveled for 9 months around Europe in 2022 and last year. And this is all before I went on that journey with Ethan. And I told him, I was like, I'm not kidding. Like, we're about to go to Europe for 9 months. Like, you should follow this page because I have so many good recommendations that you can go. Because they were basically asking about like, where should they travel next? Because we went to a couple different places that they were talking about. And yeah, so it just kind of like sparked this. And instead, I guess, of sitting there and explaining it all at once, I was like, it's all right here if you want to follow along. Like, I'm not like any way trying to get followers or anything. I just think this would be so much more fun to communicate on. And I kid you not, I still talk to that girl because she just went to, I think it was Florence, and I commented on it and I was like, oh my God, yay, you went. Like, did you end up going here? And we just got into it. And it was amazing because I was like, here's a platform that I've kind of created for myself that now has turned into this fun little, I guess, more external platform where I can chat with people that I meet from all over the world on. So it's like,
Yeah.
it just happens. And I'm like I like to talk to anybody. So I'm sure I push that conversation that way. But there are some moments where people will be like, oh my gosh, like, you guys are going where? And then I'm like, yes, you should see, I posted on here. And then I said it to them.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that just speaks to your authenticity and your genuineness of wanting to connect with people. And then that happening, like, it's just like serendipitous that you have this, like kind of digital diary that you can point towards. And I think it is much easier to be like, oh, here's, because usually that's what people need. They need like links or the actual thing, and you already have it packaged up because you've been documenting it. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I think the more the merrier. I think it's just a fun, organic way to kind of grow. For me personally, to grow any type of thing, I think it should be organic. And I think there's so much out there now where it's just like flowing of random. And I kind of don't want that. I don't want like a billion of people following that I don't even think care per se. I think these more smaller, very, very like authentic relationships go such a long way versus, trying to get quantity and just like blow it up.
Yeah.
It helps me too. I grow a lot too from hearing different perspectives, especially when I'm traveling around the world. It's all different types of perspectives that come into play.
Yeah, I know. I started posting I've been doing, I like 2024 working on self-care and with my hair. And I started doing this Monet and learning a little bit more about Monet and just like 2-for-1 washing my hair, using their products, seeing how they are, but posting more on my personal. And I also been seeing like less followers. Like I just lose followers, but I'm also like, I have no idea who's unfollowing. But it's probably for the best because, I don't need people on my social who don't want to actually like engage with what I'm posting. Like that's the whole point of following people.
Right. Exactly. And I feel like that is a big factor in all of this. Like, I think a lot of people are scared to quote unquote start maybe doing this because they're scared no one's going to like it, no one's going to follow it. But if you take that out of your mind going into it, it's such a better experience. It's fun. It's supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be a job where you're trying to get a quota of, 20 followers a day. It's supposed to be a place that you share fun things. And I think it's kind of like you said, we're getting closer to stepping away from that. But when social media started, it was a whole, oh my gosh, it was too much. You lost the purpose, I think.
Yeah. It went from fun to calculated. And for other aspiring digital creators, because I feel like you are an amazing digital creator.
Thank you.
And for other aspiring digital creators that might have a passion that they want to share with the world, but they don't know like how to start, what would you tell them?
I think the best thing from my experience is, like I said, you can't feel afraid, or maybe not afraid. You can feel anything you want when getting started, but I think don't be scared to fail, or like people are going to see you failing or whatever it is while you get started because it's so new. Just go into it, like I said, like not with the intention of I need to grow this amount of followers because I want to get, to this type of viral, whatever it is. So kind of going back to what I just said, it's like going in without these crazy expectations, I think changes the game entirely. Look at it as a fun side, quote unquote, hustle of your life and something that you enjoy. If you're into digital creating and being a creative person, that's all the work right there. That is all you need. And you just have a space for it. But I think once you throw in all these factors of, I want to be better than this person though, and I want to stand out, and I want my page to be higher up in the ranking, whatever it is, even though like SEO talk is involved, I personally just think that takes it away. That's when it feels more like a job. That's when it becomes, a little bit less authentic because you're looking more at, okay, what's the better sound I should play on this video because that's trending? What's the better filter? Because I feel like people want to see that, but just do what you want, do what you think is creative. You're going to see things that don't work for sure. And then you're going to see things that people really loved. Like, it's funny. I posted something that I never would have thought it would get even any type of conversation on it. And it did. It, like, so many people were like, oh my God, where did you get that? I love that. That's such a great idea. And I've also had moments where I'm like, ooh, the intent here is to get people to want to talk more about this. And I want to get their thoughts. And like, I won't get anything. And I'm like, maybe my approach just wasn't right. And that's fine. I'm still living and being me. It's just the way I did it wasn't the most amazing messaging or whatever it is. So I think it's just like, yeah, you're going to have moments that people don't really care or they're not really conversing about it. And then you have moments where you're like, wow, that inspired someone. That's great. Noted. Fun. Love that. Let's move on. Let's live my life.
Yeah.
My life.
And would you say, because I struggle with this sometimes, like consistency, like I think I had a week recently where I just was like, I need a break from social.
Yeah.
And then that weekend turned into a week. And now I'm like, oh, I'm trying to get more consistent with being a digital creator. But I have moments where I just am like, I just want a break from social media. So but you are really great at being consistent. So what tips can you share with us with consistency?
I think for me, the reason why I maintain like this everyday kind of check-in, fun sharing is because kind of going back to the very beginning of our conversation, I like to like enjoy what I'm doing in that moment, take a picture, write it down. I have a lot of notes that I jot. And then I kind of go back in, I'll go into my profile, and then I'll share it. So a lot of things actually aren't in like real time. It's a lot of reflecting, writing it out, seeing like, what I kind of want to share and what I'm interested in that day. And then I'll kind of put it all into a thought and then post it. Not to say that I don't do a lot of like ad hoc random things throughout the day. But I think that has helped me not feel so drained or like fried from my phone because like I said, I'm really not even on it that much. It's mainly when I'm sitting here and I have some time, then I'll like post some fun videos or pictures. But I think if your brain is set to take a picture every time you go somewhere, you might lose the consistency there just because you're too wrapped up in trying to capture the perfect moment when really you can do it all and then put your phone down.
Yeah.
And then have a conversation with the people you're with where you're taking it. Or if it's just yourself, go sit on a bench, take out your notepad, like write down what you're noticing. Like for me, that's how I kind of have stayed consistent, I guess, because I have moments where I breathe. And I think the reason why people are quicker to be like, oh, I just want to get off of it is because there's too much at once.
Yeah.
And I don't think, there's nothing wrong with it because you at least have the knowledge to know, okay, I need to step back. But for me, and for the years I've been doing it, it's weird. COVID was 2020 and it's 2024. So it's like, that's a lot of days sharing things that I think I've just found this happy medium of internalizing it first. Just wait.
Yeah.
To not have it be like immediate. So that helps me a lot.
No, that's a good thing to remember. And just, I think getting back to like, yeah, it doesn't have to be in the moment. You can also resurface things from from like I have so many pictures and because I love photography and traveling too, and that I just like I for me when I'm on trips,
Playful.
I like to be in the moment. So I
Mhm.
just take a lot of pictures and videos, but don't like post as much because I don't want to be like on my phone the entire time. So I think normalizing, yeah, like also posting things later because you just want to post them. It's like, who
Yeah.
cares, you know?
That's a good point. I didn't even think of, I just posted about a trip that happened 2 years ago. And that was actually so fun for me because I got to reminisce and see these videos and see the things I did. And I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I did all of that. I should make this is a fun video to put together for anybody who's traveling there because they can see and explore different things I did. But also, I get to have a moment just to sit back and watch videos that I,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
a win-win for me. I truly have never really seen the ugly side of the digital creating because I think I've just had I've created a healthy balance where I'm not like forcing it. I'm not trying to like create things that aren't there. I'm just finding old things or like I said, taking the videos, the pictures then and then just waiting.
That I love that, and I'm learning so much from you, and I know that I see a lot of your content on Instagram, but what tell us, like, what digital or social platforms you're using most frequently right now and why?
Yeah. So actually, and it's funny, I always tell people to follow me on this, not for the followers, but because I get so many questions for recommendations all the time. Someone's like, I'm traveling to Portugal. Can you give me some racks? And I don't live off of sending it like in a text like that because it's just so much. So I actually am. I utilize Out of Office. It's a really cool platform. You can also talk to, see like-minded influencers of that space who like to travel. Even you're just eating out. It's a lot of places that you can basically create folders of where you've been and you add the rec into it and there's like images there's I can share my actual experience there, so if it was expensive, if it was maybe not my favorite environment but like I got to do this, so it's a whole platform to share your experiences and it's so much fun for me because again it's a moment for me to internalize everything, add it in. I can like think back to what I really enjoyed versus what I didn't. And I have this whole profile of just where I've been. And it's super cool. So that's where I'm on outside of Instagram if I'm ever posting things. Um, I recommend anybody who goes anywhere in life that they've really enjoyed to get it because it's a good place to just pin things. But besides
I
that,
have
I
it. I have
yeah,
it. I just haven't posted on it yet, and I'm like, I need to just do it, but I have it. It's a great I definitely recommend the app. Yeah.
it's really it just what it is too. I think working smarter, not harder is my biggest thing these days. And I took so many times or so many moments just creating like Google Docs and putting in my notes, and then I would lose the note and then I would forget who I sent it to and I try to bring it back and then send it to another person. I was like, there's no reason I need to keep creating the same itinerary. I'll just put it in this app and it's amazing. It's never ever wronged me. It's a great platform, especially if I haven't been somewhere too. I like will search the location and it brings up like all the recommendations that people gave that they enjoy. And like I said, there's like kind of snippets of why they did, why they didn't. So yeah, I love that platform. And I also love TikTok. There's a lot of controversy around TikTok, but what I will say is I used to use TikTok as like a mindless video, just content, whatever it was. It was just kind of like doom scrolling. But now I love TikTok for the purpose of like resources. Like I use it as my Google. Like if I want to go somewhere, I will type it into the search bar. I'll look at a couple of videos. I get to see the person that's posting it. I get to see where they actually are. I get to see the environment of the place, whatever it is. So it's helps me so much when planning my own trips, but I also post on there my trips, fun times, New Year's, birthdays. Again, like another place to kind of share my life, but not as I wouldn't say it's as genuine of approach as Instagram because I think there's more cool features with Instagram that I can share some more snippet like where I feel like TikTok's more like the highlights of where I was, like the top 5 like videos I had in my camera roll to make a video.
What are you most excited for this year? Like personally, professionally,
Hmm.
what are you looking forward to?
Oh, I like love and hate these questions because I'm always like, I'm supposed to know. I know I'm supposed to know, but I'm also like, I have no idea. I
Which
think,
is totally honest answer,
yeah,
like that's totally fine.
I know. I think there's always something to be excited for. I definitely, and Ethan and my friends will always kind of say like, you're just overly excited about everything. There's why, and I'm like, because there's so much fun things in the smallest things in your life. But I think if I looked at like a big scale, moving to London, like I said, I packed up everything. Um, I'm in a new place, new lifestyle, new routine. I think I'm most excited to continue that, but I'm also most excited to continue challenging and growing in this space. Like, who knows what's going to happen in a year, what's going to happen in this year, um, while living here and kind of taking these leaps. Like I said, my priority was to move here as a place to be closer for different travels in Europe and Asia and different, basically anywhere not in the US right now, just because that's where my head is. And I'm just so excited to grow that and to challenge myself, be in situations that might not be, my favorite, learn about them, understand them, learn more about myself. I'm 27, I'm almost 28, I'm getting closer to 30. So it's just it's a lot of learning about myself at this point, being alone, being okay with being alone, being away from home. So yeah, a lot of different things. I'm excited for everything that's to come.
I love that. And I think you're going to learn so much about yourself being away from your family. I was in New York for 12 years and was like 3,000 miles away from my family. And the first year is always the hardest.
Yeah.
But I think if you can get through a year, like after getting through a year of somewhere, you start to like kind of get your bearings
Yeah.
and you're just gonna back on like so many life experiences. And the beautiful thing also is you can always move. I know moving is like a whole thing and it's expensive, but if it came down to it, you can always move again.
Yeah.
But you will learn a lot about yourself being out there because it's kind of like you have your family, but you also like you're in the day to day and you have
I
to,
know.
you're going through it. But
It's truly a beautiful thing though to see. And some people are super uncomfortable doing that stuff. And that's fine. But
yeah,
for me, like I was ready to take that on. And it's so crazy to see some of the things that have changed. Yeah, for the better, honestly, too. Like you just never know unless you try these different changes in your life.
yeah. And you will become very sure of yourself, I think, like
Yeah.
just because you have to, because you're so far away from
I know.
your comfort zone. But it's going to help you grow as a person and you're going to come back and, then your family is going to get to know another version of you
Yeah.
too.
And I think what's so beautiful too is like everything it's temporary. Like if you go into things thinking it's always permanent, you're never going to be able to do things because you're just going to be like nervous. And I feel like I used to kind of have that when I was younger, and now I'm like everything's kind of for the most part everything's fixable. Nothing's permanent. Things change all the time. That's the way life is. So you got to embrace it. Just embrace where you are in life and what you're looking forward to, and know that it's not permanent.
Yeah. No, very true. Yeah, you're in control of your destiny. So even if you feel like there's chaos, you can still control it. I
Exactly.
love that. I love that. Well, we're winding down, but
We
before
could
we
talk
wrap up,
forever.
I know I love talking to you. Even our prep was like an hour, which I
I
love
know.
because
I love it.
it's just genuine conversation.
Yeah.
Um, this is why I love this is be Bridget's just one of my friends now, even though I'm interviewing her. I was gonna say she's interviewing me. I'm interviewing you. But Bridget's amazing. Okay, tell us a little bit about your favorite products right now. I feel like I see you post things
Oh my
sometimes on
God.
social, but what are your top three products that you're
Hmm.
using?
Actually, a really good one I think that could benefit a lot of people, and especially because we talked about budgeting, is this is a product, but I'd say more an app, but Copilot is great for anyone who wants to like really look down to the nitty gritty of numbers of how you can spend your money, but also be living your dream. I can't recommend it more. It's great. It's a great way to organize everything, especially for me, because I can't look at like graphs and all this crazy stuff. I need to see it for what it is. So I recommend Copilot. It's great. This one's funny. It's so different than this, because I feel like the Copilot's very like adulty budgeting, and this one's like a cleansing oil that
I love it.
This cleansing oil is amazing. And it's funny, I've been on this kick of sharing links because, like I said, I want to have these conversations. I'm either having them with myself or Ethan, and I'm like, I need my gals to hear me out on some of these things. But it's called Anu. It's like ANUA. It's like this oil cleanser, and it takes away literally all your nasties in your pores. And
okay,
that's my number one right now. I think I'm going like strong of like 3 months of using it and talking about it. I talk about it at least like once a week. But it's great. You can use it as like it's like I said, it's essentially like a cleanser, and you just like keep kind of massage it in your face for like 15 minutes, and it takes all your blackheads away. You might have seen it on my story.
Oh, I'm gonna have to try this. My boyfriend has some bad blackheads right now, and we're gonna have to try it on him.
Guys always have horrible blackheads.
I know. I'm like, you guys need to learn how to wash your face. I think they don't cleanse their face enough. Like, get it in there. Like, it's just like a wipe. Like, you put soap on and you wipe it off.
Face. I don't get it. I don't. Yeah. But I actually posted a picture of the before and after, and I'm not kidding. How many people messaged me like, shut up, I need to try this. It's actually crazy. It's one of those products where I'm like, wow, this actually worked. So yeah.
I'm gonna get it and try it out, and I'll look at your stories.
Yeah.
Okay, give us one more product.
Okay, this is my favorite by far. It's called Yucca. I don't know if you ever heard of it. Have you heard of Yucca? Well, Yucca in itself is like a root plant. That's the name. It's like a potato-ish thing. But the app is Yucca, Yuka. And basically, I use this every single day. You can scan anything that you eat that has a barcode. And so basically for me right now is like, I'm not only trying to eat healthy, I'm trying to eat whole food, clean, no additives types of eating. And this thing is amazing. I actually always preach this to my friends. It's essentially what it does is it brings up every single ingredient, because I don't know about you, but I can't look at a package and be like, yeah, I know that ingredient. That's fine.
Yeah, no. I'm like, this means nothing to me.
Right. I have no idea what it means. And it brings up everything, and it scores it out of 100, and it tells you what's wrong with it, whether it's too many calories, saturated fat, all that good stuff. But then it takes it another level, and it tells you how many additives and how dangerous it is. So like we're talking like cancerous chemicals. And I'll put it down. I literally scan. It says 36 out of 100, 9 additives, 7 hazardous, 2 okay. I put it back. I literally kid you not. Ethan and I have talked about this. Our guts are better. Our skin is better. We feel better. We're just eating whole foods because we're finding the ones that don't have stuff in them. And if I could put everyone on this, I think it would change the game entirely for overall food because we really don't know. I don't know, and I'm still learning, and that's what's helped me a lot. I think traveling too is when I get groceries, I just scan. Now you can't scan when you go out to eat, but that's fine because 80-20, you're gonna have to figure out what matters and what doesn't. But for the majority of my routine, I'm gonna eat whole foods, healthy foods, clean.
My boyfriend's gonna love this app. I feel like I'm afraid to scan it for some of the
that's the worst part is we use this like taco seasoning mix, and I was like, oh, I'm like, Ethan, scan it. and it's essentially it's bad. And I was like, no, I'm like, we gotta take it out of our diet. But I must say that it always gives you an alternative. If it says it's a bad score, it says try this instead, and it's always just as good. It gives you a different brand, a different, healthier option. So that's huge.
I love that.
I also do it with products. Any skin products I do it for. You can scan for that.
Oh, I was going to ask about that. Oh my gosh, these are game-changing apps and products that you're giving us. So I'm going to tell everyone about this. I'll give you the credit.
Yes. Yeah. I'll be like, Healthy Bee, she got me on. I actually will say my 2 best friends, they live in New York. they introduced me to it, and I'm forever grateful for them. Yeah, it was like the best. It's truly the best thing ever. Because again,
Yeah.
it starts with your body. Everything in life, if you're not healthy, if you don't have a healthy lifestyle, body, whatever it is, it's really hard to do everything else. And that's why I preach and love, and I'm so passionate about this because of that. So yeah.
I love this. I love this conversation. Oh, I don't want it to end.
I know.
I don't want it to end. Well, we are so grateful that you took the time to talk to us today. Thank you so much, Bridget. I can't wait. I feel like everyone that's listening is going to be throwing out potentially a lot of things from their cabinets because but for the greater good.
Yes.
But tell us where listeners can find you so that they can continue to get lots of great tips and inspiration on a
Yes.
day-to-day basis.
Yes. Healthy Bee is my number one place to find me. It's on Instagram, healthy_bee_. That's where I think most of my conversations are coming out of, where I find the most community, fun, authentic vibes there. You can also follow me on TikTok for fun little videos. It's just Bridget Goodwin. But yeah, I'd say go to Healthy Bee. That's my favorite. I have a sweatshirt actually that I had my close friend who has actually her own company, name drop, One Thread. She created me a sweatshirt and it says Healthy Bee, and I wear it a lot.
Ooh, does she do merch?
She does.
Oh, I'm gonna have to hit her up to interview for the podcast. And I
Yes.
want to create a sweatshirt for the podcast and
Yes.
for myself to wear. So maybe I will go through her because,
Yeah, she's great.
gotta help other women out. And I want to see your sweatshirt.
I know. Oh my God. I'll send you a picture of it. It's actually posted on Healthy Bee. I have posted it. It's so cute. It's amazing.
Oh, we're gonna have to, if there's a link to it, we can link to it in the show notes as well
Yes,
for
absolutely.
anyone that's interested.
Definitely.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. I love
Absolutely.
talking to you, and we will chat soon.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It means the world that you wanted to hear more. And like I said, if anybody wants to hear more, you can just reach out to me.
Yes.
And that's a wrap for today. Big thanks again to Bridget for all of her wisdom, good vibes, and tips. I mean, so many game-changing tips that I am going to apply and have started to apply in my life, like her 80-20 rule, and that Yuga app is game-changing. If anyone is trying to eat healthier and be more conscious of what you're eating, see if there's any harmful chemicals, cancerous chemicals in your products, download it and you won't regret it. I love you all. Thank you for listening and talk soon.
Music and editing done by Marco. You can find him at midnight, MIDNITE_mind80 on Instagram for more of his work.